Have you ever snapped at someone and regretted it the second the words left your mouth? Ever made a decision in a moment of anger or fear, only to later wonder, what was I thinking? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of us are not truly in control of our minds. We're controlled by impulses, by old patterns, by emotions that flare up like wildfires. But what if you could change that? What if you could become the kind of person who stays calm in chaos, who doesn't just react, but chooses their response with intention and clarity? It's not a fantasy, it's a skill. And that skill has a name: Stoicism. Not coldness, not indifference, but power, real inner power. The kind that ancient warriors, emperors, and philosophers used to face betrayal, exile, even death, without losing their peace. And you don't need to escape to a mountain or meditate in silence for years to learn it. You already have what it takes. Right now, in this moment, you hold the key. In this video, we're going to unlock it together. Because if you can train your mind to respond deliberately, wisely, calmly, you can change not just how you feel, but how you live. So take a deep breath. This is where everything begins. Chapter 1. The gap between stimulus and response. Imagine this. You're walking into your day, maybe heading to work, maybe just grabbing your morning coffee. Out of nowhere, someone bumps into you, spilling your drink. In that split second, before your brain even processes what's happening, rage starts to rise. You want to say something, do something, react, but then, what if you didn't? What if you paused? What if you stepped back, just for a breath, and realized you have a choice? That tiny space between what happens to you and what you do next, that is the most powerful space in the world. The Stoics knew this well. They built their lives around it. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist deeply influenced by Stoic ideas, once said, "Between stimulus and response there is a space, but to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." Think about that. How many problems in your life, arguments, regrets, missed opportunities, came from reacting instead of responding? We say things we don't mean. We make choices we wouldn't normally make. And we do it because we feel hijacked by anger, fear, pride, ego. But you're not your first emotion. You're not your first thought. You're the one who notices the thought. You're the one who chooses what comes next. That's not just psychology, that's Stoicism in action. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Every moment of your life gives you that power. The power to choose how you show up, the power to be bigger than your impulse, the power to respond, not react. And when you start to live from that place, you don't just change your mood, you change your destiny. Chapter 2. Epictetus and the control dichotomy. Let's get brutally honest for a second. How much of your anxiety comes from trying to control things you never actually could? You stress about the weather on your wedding day, about how someone interpreted your message, about whether the economy, your boss, or your partner will change. But here's the hard truth: they won't. Not always. Not on your terms. Not just because you wish they would. And that's why Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, drew a line in the sand. He said, "Some things are up to us, and some things are not." Simple, but life-changing. What's up to you? Your thoughts, your judgments, your actions, your words, your effort. What's not? The opinions of others, the past, the future, your reputation, outcomes. When you live this truth, really live it, something shifts inside you. The chaos outside doesn't stop, but your need to control it does. You become untouchable, not because the world is kind, but because your peace no longer depends on it. Think about it. When someone insults you, you can't control their words, but you can control whether you let it define your worth. When plans fall apart, you can't control the outcome, but you can control how you adapt, how you respond, how you move forward. That's not weakness, that's wisdom, that's strength. And it's exactly what Epictetus meant when he said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." The more energy you pour into what isn't yours to control, the more powerless you feel. But the moment you reclaim that energy, the moment you bring it back to your thoughts, your actions, your values, that's when you become powerful. You stop being a puppet of the world. and you start becoming the author of your own life. This is where the journey really begins. Chapter 3. The reactive mind and modern chaos. You wake up. Before you even leave your bed, you've already checked 5 apps. Notifications flood your screen. News, messages, algorithms screaming for your attention. Your mind hasn't even had time to wake up and it's already reacting. This is the world we live in, a world of instant replies, instant opinions, instant outrage. You get a rude comment? React. Someone posts something you disagree with? React. A notification dings? React. But here's the catch. The more reactive we become, the less control we have over our lives. We're not thinking, we're not choosing, we're just responding to impulses, like leaves blowing in the wind wherever the digital storm takes us, and that's not an accident. The systems around us are designed to keep us reacting. Why? Because a reactive mind is predictable, it's profitable, it's easy to manipulate. But here's what the Stoics would say. You are not a leaf, you are the wind, you are the force. Not the one being tossed around, but the one with direction, with purpose, with control. The Stoics didn't have smartphones, but they knew distractions. They lived through political chaos, betrayal, exile, even war, and yet they still spoke of clarity, of stillness, of inner peace. How? Because they refused to be ruled by what was outside of them. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And in today's world, that suffering comes from overthinking, overreacting, overstimulating. You scroll endlessly, not even aware of how your mood is shifting. You argue in comments you'll forget tomorrow. You carry the emotional weight of headlines you can't change. But imagine this instead. Imagine beginning your day not by reacting, but by reflecting. Not by checking notifications, but by checking in with yourself. Not by rushing into the noise, but by anchoring into silence. This isn't about escaping the modern world. It's about moving through it with wisdom, because the more you reclaim your mind, the less power the chaos has over you. And in that stillness, you don't just survive the storm, you become the calm inside it. Chapter 4. Mindfulness and presence as Stoic tools. Let's pause for a moment. Right now, wherever you are, take a breath. Slowly. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Now ask yourself, where is your mind? Is it here, in this moment, or somewhere else? The truth is, most of us are never really here. We live in memories, in projections, in what someone said yesterday, in what might go wrong tomorrow, but rarely in now. And yet now is the only place we have any power. The Stoics knew this. They didn't use the word mindfulness, but they practiced it every day. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present, because in the present, there are no regrets, no anxieties, only what is, only what you can do right now, and that's where your power lives." Modern science confirms what the Stoics already knew. When you bring your attention fully into the moment, you calm the nervous system, you reduce stress, you access clarity. But mindfulness isn't some mystical experience. It's a skill, one you can practice. Start with your breath, pay attention to each inhale, each exhale. Do nothing else for a moment. That simple act trains your mind to focus, to choose its object. Try this when you feel overwhelmed. Stop. Close your eyes. Breathe. Count your breaths. Inhale 1, exhale 2, up to 10. Then start again. You'll notice something. Your mind calms down. The emotion loses its grip, and space appears. Space for a choice. That's Stoicism in motion. You can also practice presence in ordinary activities. When you eat, just eat. Taste the food. Notice the texture. When you walk, just walk. Feel your feet touch the ground. When you speak to someone, just listen, fully, without planning your reply. These aren't small things. They are the foundation of a responsive life, because when you train your mind to stay here, it's no longer dragged by every little disturbance. It stops reacting to ghosts, fears of the future, echoes of the past. You become grounded, awake, clear, and from that place your responses become deliberate, compassionate, powerful. The Stoics called this living according to nature. Today we might call it presence. Either way, it's the same truth. The present moment is not just where life happens, it's where you happen. Chapter 5. The The role of reflection in Stoic training. Picture this: a Roman emperor, the most powerful man in the world, sitting alone at night, writing to himself. Not to the Senate, not to the people, to himself. That emperor was Marcus Aurelius, and his private reflections, written in the quiet hours before dawn, would one day become meditations, a timeless Stoic masterpiece. But he didn't write to be famous. He wrote to be better. Reflection for the Stoics wasn't a luxury. It was a necessity, a form of mental armor, a daily sharpening of the blade, because no one is naturally wise. No one wakes up perfectly rational, perfectly calm. You become those things by noticing when you're not. So, what does Stoic reflection look like? It starts with one simple question: how did I live today? Where did I act according to virtue? Where did I slip? When did I let my emotions take over? When did I rise above them? You're not judging yourself, you're observing, like a scientist examining data, like a warrior reviewing the battlefield, not with shame, but with clarity. Seneca advised, "When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said, I conceal nothing from myself, I omit nothing." Why? Because awareness precedes improvement. If you don't see the pattern, you can't break it. If you don't name the mistake, you can't correct it. If you don't reflect, you'll repeat. And here's the beauty of it: the more you reflect, the less reactive you become. You begin to notice the emotional wave before it crashes. You recognize the tone in your voice before it cuts someone. You spot the habit before it hijacks the moment. Each evening becomes a lesson, each day a training ground. So try it tonight. Before you go to sleep, take 5 minutes. Ask, what did I do well today? Where did I fall short? What will I do differently tomorrow? Write it down just for you, no filters, no edits. Do this every day and you won't just live, you'll evolve. Because growth isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest. And Stoicism? It begins not with controlling the world, but with understanding yourself. Chapter 6. Reframing adversity. Let's talk about pain. Not the kind you stub your toe on, but the kind life throws at you without warning. A broken relationship, a lost job, a betrayal, a diagnosis. Most people see adversity as punishment, as a problem to be fixed, as proof that something has gone wrong. But what if the Stoics were right? What if adversity isn't blocking your path, but showing you the way? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Read that again. What stands in the way becomes the way. This isn't just a clever phrase, it's a map for how to live. Every setback is an invitation to grow, to adapt, to prove to yourself who you really are. Think about the hardest moments in your life, the ones that hurt the most, that broke you open. What did they teach you? Did you become wiser, more compassionate, stronger? The Stoics didn't wish for an easy life. They prepared for a meaningful one. And meaning doesn't come from comfort. It comes from facing discomfort with courage and clarity. Epictetus, who was born a slave and later became one of the greatest Stoic minds, taught his students to ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" Not, "Why me?" Not, "When will this end?" But, "What can I learn?" That question changes everything. Because now suffering isn't meaningless, it's purposeful. Obstacles become teachers. Struggles become strength training. Pain becomes wisdom in disguise. Imagine the next time something goes wrong, you don't spiral, you reframe. You say, "This is hard, and that's okay. What does this moment require of me?" Patience? Forgiveness? Fortitude? Every challenge is a chance to practice a virtue. And that's how you grow, not just out of adversity, but through it. The Stoics didn't believe in avoiding storms. They believed in becoming sailors skilled enough to navigate them. So the next time life tests you, don't ask for the storm to stop. Ask to become the one who knows how to sail. Chapter 7. Emotional mastery is emotional intelligence. Let's get one thing clear. Stoicism is not about being emotionless. It's not about becoming a robot or suppressing your feelings or pretending everything's fine when it's not. That's not strength, that's denial. The real Stoic doesn't ignore emotion, they master it. They feel anger, but they don't become it. They feel fear, but they don't let it lead. They feel sorrow, but they don't drown in it. They recognize emotions for what they are, signals, not commands. In modern terms, we'd call this emotional intelligence, the ability to understand, manage, and express your emotions in ways that serve your highest values, and the Stoics were masters of it long before it had a name. Epictetus taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." But here's the deeper truth behind that line. You can't choose your reaction until you understand your emotion. Anger isn't just an outburst, it's a message. Something feels unjust. Fear isn't just panic, it's a signal. Something feels uncertain or threatened. Sadness isn't weakness, it's mourning, it's letting go. And here's where the Stoic steps in. Not to reject these feelings, but to meet them with wisdom. To pause, to ask, what am I feeling? Why? And is my response aligned with who I want to be? That's the key. The Stoic doesn't avoid emotion. They investigate it. They separate fact from story, reaction from reason, feeling from action. They create space. And in that space, they choose. That's not repression. That's refinement. Because when you name your emotions, they stop owning you. You stop lashing out, you stop hiding, you start responding deliberately, wisely, calmly. This is emotional mastery. This is maturity. This is what the world desperately needs more of. And you can start practicing today. The next time you're upset, don't vent it. Study it. The next time you feel overwhelmed, don't suppress it. Sit with it. Ask, what's underneath this? What is this feeling pointing me toward? And what response reflects my character? Not just my mood. That's stoicism, that's power. And the more you master your emotions, the more you reclaim your life. Chapter 8. The practice of virtue in responses. Every moment is a choice, not just between reaction or response, but between who you are and who you're becoming. The Stoics believed that character is not built in the grand gestures. It's built in the small responses, the quiet moments, the fork in the road between anger and patience, between pride and humility, between comfort and courage. This is what they called living according to virtue. Virtue wasn't some abstract ideal for them. It was practical, tangible, a guide for every decision. And there were 4 pillars: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. So when something happens, someone criticizes you, you face a setback, you feel overwhelmed. The Stoic doesn't just ask, what do I feel like doing? They ask, what does virtue demand here? Wisdom, what's the wisest way to respond? Courage, what would bravery look like right now? Justice, what is fair, not just to me, but to others? Temperance, how can I act with balance, not excess? This doesn't mean you become perfect. It means you practice, because every response is a rep, like a muscle being trained. When you choose to pause instead of explode, that's virtue. When you tell the truth, even when it costs you, that's virtue. When you stay calm in the middle of chaos, that's virtue. And here's the secret. Virtue feels good, not in the shallow way that pleasure does, but in the deep, resonant way that alignment does. When your actions match your values, there's peace. When your responses reflect your principles, there's power. This is why the Stoics didn't chase status or fame or comfort. They chased virtue because they knew that was the only thing truly within their control and the only thing worth building a life upon. So next time you're challenged, ask yourself, is this shaping me into someone I respect? Because every response writes your story. One word, one choice, one moment at a time. Chapter 9. Daily exercises to strengthen your response. Training your mind to respond, not react, isn't a one-time decision. It's a daily practice. Like building muscle, it requires repetition, resistance, and rest. You don't become calm under pressure by hoping for it. You become calm because you train for it. The Stoics understood this. They weren't just thinkers, they were practitioners. So let's talk about how you can apply Stoicism to your day, not someday, but starting now. 1. Morning reflection. Start with intention. Before the day begins, ask yourself, what might test me today? What emotions am I likely to face? What kind of person do I want to be, regardless of circumstances? Marcus Aurelius did this every morning. He reminded himself, you will meet with ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, unsocial people. Not to be pessimistic, but to be prepared. When you expect challenge, you're not thrown off by it. You're ready. 2. Negative visualization. Premeditatio malorum. This practice might sound dark, but it's deeply empowering. Take a moment to imagine what could go wrong today. Not to worry, but to strengthen your mindset. What if the meeting goes badly? What if someone criticizes you? What if things don't go according to plan? Then ask, how would the best version of me respond? You're not fearing the storm, you're rehearsing your calm within it. 3. Pause before responding. This might be the most powerful micro-habit you can develop. When something triggers you, pause, just for a second. Breathe, count to 5. Observe what's happening inside you. In that space, your higher self can speak. 4. Journaling. Evening self-examination. At the end of your day, sit quietly. Ask, when did I act with wisdom today? Where did I let emotion take the wheel? What can I learn from this? No shame, just clarity. This is your training, your review, your refinement. 5. Carry a phrase. Choose a short Stoic phrase and carry it with you through the day like a mental compass. I control how I respond. Let me be the master of my mind. The obstacle is the way. Repeat it. Breathe it. Let it anchor you. 6. Practice in the small moments. Don't wait for the big test. Train in the ordinary. When someone interrupts you, when the coffee order is wrong, when traffic delays your plans. These aren't inconveniences. They're your training ground. Every time you choose presence over impatience, clarity over reaction, purpose over impulse, you're strengthening your Stoic mind. And soon it won't be effort, it will be who you are. Chapter 10. Real-life stories of Stoic responses. It's one thing to talk about Stoicism, it's another to live it, especially when everything around you is falling apart. So let's go beyond theory for a moment. Let's talk about real people, real pain, real power, because Stoicism isn't just for philosophers or emperors. It's for anyone willing to respond to life with strength instead of surrender. Nelson Mandela, from vengeance to vision. He spent 27 years in prison, beaten, isolated, forgotten. But when he walked free, he didn't seek revenge. He sought reconciliation. Mandela understood what the Stoics knew. Your reaction is your power. He said, as I walked out the door, toward the gate that would lead to my freedom, I knew that if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison. That is Stoic strength. And from that meaning comes power. James Stockdale, the Stoic admiral shot down over Vietnam, imprisoned for 7 years, tortured repeatedly, and yet, Vice Admiral James Stockdale credited Stoic philosophy, specifically Epictetus, for his survival. He said, I never lost faith in the end of the story. But he also added, you must never confuse faith that you will prevail in the end with the discipline to confront the brutal facts of your current reality. That balance of hope and hard truth is Stoicism in action. You, the quiet responder. Maybe you're not a world leader or a prisoner of war, but every day you face challenges that test your character. The insult you didn't return, the temptation you resisted, the pain you turned into purpose. These moments matter because greatness isn't measured by spotlight. It's measured by consistency. Each time you choose to respond, not react, you are practicing greatness quietly, powerfully, stoically, and that changes everything. If you've come this far, you've already done something rare. You've slowed down, you've reflected, you've stepped outside the whirlwind of reaction and looked inward. That's not small, that's revolutionary, because most people live their entire lives at the mercy of their emotions, pulled in every direction by impulse, by ego, by noise. But not you, not anymore. You've seen what's possible when you pause, when you own the space between what happens and what you do. That space, that moment, that choice is everything. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about remembering who you are beneath the reactivity. It's about reclaiming the one thing no one can ever take from you, your response. So keep choosing, keep observing, keep refining. Not just once, not just when it's easy, but every time it matters. Because the person who learns to respond, not react, isn't just calm, they're dangerous. Because nothing moves them unless they allow it. That's Stoicism. Live it, quietly, relentlessly. And if this message spoke to you, share it. Someone else out there needs this pause too. And yes, subscribe, hit the like button. I'd be truly grateful, but only if you're ready to keep training your mind, one choice at a time.